Have you ever walked into a doctor's office, shared what's been troubling you, and left with nothing more than, well, that's just what happens when you get older? It sounds harmless, almost comforting, but behind those words lies a dangerous assumption that could cost you more than you realize. Too often, real illnesses hide in plain sight, dismissed as nothing but normal aging. That nagging joint pain, the breathlessness that makes you stop halfway up the stairs, the lapses in memory you've noticed lately. What if they're not just part of getting older, but warning signs of something treatable? What if the reassurance you were given was, in fact, the very thing standing between you and a healthier, longer life? Wisdom beyond 60, dear everyone. Today we're peeling back the curtain on a truth most people never want to imagine. Sometimes the biggest threat to your health isn't the illness itself, but the way it's overlooked. I've heard stories of people who went months, sometimes years, before discovering that what they were told was just aging was actually heart disease, thyroid problems, vitamin deficiencies, or even early-stage cancer. These are conditions that could have been treated, even reversed, if only someone had looked deeper. Why does this happen? In part, it's the pressure doctors face. So many patients, so little time. When an older person walks in describing familiar symptoms, it's tempting to take the simplest route. And yes, aging changes the body, but simple isn't always accurate. And in medicine, accuracy can be the difference between decline and recovery. The real danger is that once your symptoms are stamped with the label "just getting old," the urgency to investigate fades. You're told to rest more, to take it easy, while the real cause silently gets worse. I knew a man in his 80s who started feeling unusually tired with occasional dizzy spells. His doctor chalked it up to slowing down with age, told him to get more rest. But something in his gut told him it didn't feel right. Months later, after insisting on more tests, they found a heart valve problem, something that could be fixed. And when it was, his energy came roaring back. He later said, "I wish someone had listened the first time." That's the tragedy here. Not just the misdiagnosis, but the months of life he could have lived better. Here's the truth. Aging explains some things, but it doesn't explain everything. Every cough, every sudden change in mobility, every unexplained weight loss deserves a closer look, no matter how many candles are on your birthday cake. You deserve the same level of investigation and respect as someone decades younger, because your health matters just as much now as it ever did. So if you've ever been told, it's just your age, and felt that pang of doubt deep inside, listen to it, ask questions, request tests. Make it clear you want answers, not just reassurance. The stakes are too high to settle for less. Before we go deeper into this eye-opening journey, I want to ask for your support. If you believe your health and dignity matter at every stage of life, please subscribe to our channel. Your encouragement helps us create more powerful content that can protect and empower people just like you. And now, I'd love for you to think about this. Question: if you experienced a new unexplained symptom tomorrow, what would you do first? A, accept it as just part of getting older. B, push for a thorough checkup and ask for detailed explanations. Comment your answer below, or B, and tell us why. Your stories might be the inspiration someone else needs to take their health seriously. There's another quiet truth that many older adults don't even realize is shaping their medical care. Some doctors believe you won't or can't follow through on a treatment plan the same way a younger patient might. They may never say it out loud, but it's there, beneath the surface of their recommendations. If they assume you'll struggle to remember instructions, find a plan too complicated, or lack the energy to make changes, they might hold back on offering certain treatments entirely. And while that may sound like they're trying to make things easier for you, it can actually mean you end up with less effective care than you deserve. This isn't always about bad intentions. Sometimes it comes from stereotypes, assumptions formed over years of seeing older patients who do forget a dose, misplace instructions, or struggle with multiple prescriptions. But the problem is when those assumptions are applied to everyone. The truth is, plenty of people in their 70s and 80s are perfectly capable of tracking their medications, following detailed guidelines, and even researching their own health conditions to make informed decisions. Yet when a doctor assumes otherwise, the result can be life-changing, and not in a good way. I remember talking to a woman named Carol, who was 79 when she was diagnosed with a heart condition. Her first cardiologist gave her the simplest plan possible, just a couple of medications, nothing more, because he assumed she wouldn't want to deal with anything more demanding. But Carol wanted more than that. She wanted to take control, to fight for her health with everything available to her. When she found a new doctor who took the time to explain all the options, medication combinations, diet changes, exercise routines, she was able to manage her condition far better than before. Her health didn't just stabilize, it improved because someone finally trusted her to handle the full plan. This is why your role in your own care matters so much. If your doctor sees that you are engaged, asking questions, taking notes, bringing up concerns, they're more likely to give you the complete picture instead of a watered-down version. That complete picture might include advanced treatments, lifestyle strategies that work alongside medication, or preventive steps that could spare you from bigger problems later on. Without that, you're left making decisions in the dark, unaware of what might have been possible. The heartbreaking thing is that many older adults never know what they've missed. They trust their doctor has given them the best option, not realizing that best was defined under the assumption they couldn't manage anything more. This is where you have more power than you think. Every time you demonstrate your willingness to participate fully in your treatment, you chip away at that assumption. Bring a notebook to your appointments. Ask for written instructions. Repeat back what you've understood so your doctor knows you're listening. Show that you're committed to following through, no matter how detailed or complex the plan may be. Because here's the reality. Following a treatment plan isn't about age. It's about clarity, support, and determination. If you have those three things, you can take charge of your health just as effectively as someone decades younger. And when you do, you're far more likely to get the level of care that truly matches your needs, not just your birth year. So the next time you're at the doctor's office and they outline a plan, listen carefully, and then ask, is there anything else we could try? Any other options you haven't mentioned yet? That one question might open a door you didn't even know was there. And behind that door could be the treatment, the approach, or the opportunity that makes all the difference in how well and how fully you live. There's a reality many people would rather not face, but it happens quietly in hospitals and clinics every day. Sometimes age itself becomes a silent factor in who gets more time, more resources, and more attention from their doctor. It's not always intentional, and it's rarely spoken about openly, but the truth is that when medical professionals are under pressure, when appointments are stacked and decisions must be made quickly, some may instinctively devote more focus to younger patients. The reasoning, often unspoken, is that younger people have more years ahead of them, and therefore more to gain from aggressive treatment. But here's what that line of thinking overlooks. Life at 75, 80, or beyond is still life. Those years, those days, those moments are no less valuable than they were decades earlier. A treatment that restores mobility, relieves chronic pain, or returns the energy to live independently can transform not just how long you live, but how well you live. And yet when doctors prioritize age over individual health and potential, older patients can be sidelined in ways that are subtle but significant. It can appear in small ways, like which tests are ordered. A younger patient with a certain symptom might be sent for immediate imaging or blood work, while an older patient with the same complaint is told to wait and see. Sometimes it's in the options presented. A surgery might be offered to someone in their 40s without hesitation, but quietly withheld from someone 20 or 30 years older because the doctor assumes recovery will be too difficult, without even asking if the patient is willing to try. I once met a man named Richard, 82 years old, who loved to walk every morning. But severe knee pain began stealing that joy from him. His first doctor dismissed the idea of knee replacement surgery outright, saying it was too much for his age. Richard left feeling defeated, as if his age had closed a door that might have kept him active for years to come. Refusing to accept that, he sought a second opinion. The new surgeon looked at his overall health, his activity level, and his determination, not just his date of birth. They moved forward with the surgery. Richard recovered beautifully, and within months he was back to his morning walks, smiling like a man who had gotten a piece of his life back. That's the point. Age should be just one factor in a medical decision, not the deciding factor. A doctor's role should be to weigh your current health, your goals, and your willingness to undergo treatment, not to assume what's best for you based on a number. As a patient, that means you need to be clear about what you want. If you feel you're being overlooked, speak up. If a procedure is dismissed because of your age, ask why, and ask if there's another doctor who might view your case differently. There is a quiet dignity in fighting for the care you believe will help you live your life to the fullest. It's not about demanding the impossible. It's about reminding the people in charge of your health that your comfort, your independence, and your happiness are worth investing in, no matter your age. Because when you shift the conversation from how long will they live to how well can they live, the possibilities change entirely. Your health story should never be written with age as the first and last sentence. And sometimes all it takes to change that is your voice, steady, confident, and unwilling to let assumptions make the final call. One of the most subtle yet limiting assumptions some doctors make is about what matters to you once you reach your 70s or 80s. Without even realizing it, they may quietly decide that your priorities revolve only around staying comfortable and maintaining the basics, rather than actively pursuing the things that light you up inside. They might think, at this stage, they're not going to be chasing big dreams or making bold plans. And so they frame your care around survival, not fulfillment. While the intention may be to spare you effort or strain, this mindset can rob you of opportunities that could make your later years richer, more vibrant, and more meaningful. I've seen it happen when someone mentions knee pain and is immediately given a prescription for pain relief, with no discussion of physical therapy, surgery, or lifestyle changes that could restore their full mobility. I've heard of patients with chronic conditions being told to take it easy at home, rather than being encouraged to prepare for a trip they've long dreamed about. The focus stays on managing the condition instead of helping them live fully with it. This isn't because doctors don't care. It's because they sometimes forget that older adults still have goals, passions, and milestones worth reaching. Take Ellen, for example, an 81-year-old grandmother who had a clear and heartfelt goal to fly overseas and visit her granddaughter. She lived with a chronic lung condition, and her doctor's initial advice was to stay comfortable at home, implying the trip would be too much for her. But Ellen wasn't looking for the easy road. She was looking for a way to make her dream possible. When she sought a second opinion, her new physician approached the conversation differently. Instead of telling her what she couldn't do, he asked, "What do you want to be able to do, and how can we get you there?" Together, they built a plan, adjusting her medication, introducing targeted breathing exercises, and gradually increasing her stamina. 6 months later, Ellen boarded that flight, and the joy of holding her granddaughter made every ounce of effort worth it. Stories like Ellen's remind us that the best medical care isn't just about treating symptoms, it's about aligning treatment with the life you want to live. And to make that happen, you can't assume your doctor automatically knows your personal goals. You have to tell them. Whether it's returning to gardening, joining a local choir, hiking with friends, or traveling across the country, your care should support those ambitions. That means being willing to speak up in the exam room and say, "This is what I'm aiming for. How can my treatment help me get there?" By sharing your vision for your life, you invite your doctor to see you as more than a patient file or a list of lab results. You become a whole person in their eyes, someone with dreams, commitments, and reasons to fight for better health. That shift can completely change the kinds of recommendations you receive, from maintenance strategies to proactive, empowering plans. Your later years can hold just as much growth, adventure, and personal meaning as any other time in your life, but only if you and your healthcare providers work toward those goals together. So don't let anyone, not even a well-meaning doctor, quietly decide that you're done reaching for more. Make your priorities known, make them part of the conversation, and insist that your care be shaped to help you live not just longer, but better. One of the most overlooked aspects of healthcare for older adults isn't about blood pressure, medications, or lab results. It's about the emotional weight that aging can carry and how profoundly it can shape physical health. Too often, this part of the conversation never happens in the doctor's office. Physicians might focus on treating your body while leaving your heart and mind out of the equation. They may assume that feelings of sadness, worry, or loneliness are just a normal part of growing older, not realizing how much those emotions can affect your sleep, appetite, energy levels, immune system, and even your recovery from illness. The truth is, aging brings more than physical changes. It can mean saying goodbye to people you love, adjusting to a new pace of life, or learning to live with less independence than you once had. These shifts can quietly chip away at your spirit if they aren't acknowledged and addressed. I once spoke with a man named Leonard who had been married for 54 years. When his wife passed away, his health began to decline at an alarming rate. Not because of any new disease, but because grief had drained his strength. Every doctor visit focused on adjusting his medications, yet no one asked how he was coping or whether he had support at home. It wasn't until a neighbor suggested counseling that Leonard began to feel a spark of life again. His energy returned, his physical health improved, and all because someone finally saw and cared for the emotional wound beneath the surface. Emotional well-being isn't a luxury, it's a pillar of overall health. When it's ignored, people can feel invisible, even in a room full of medical professionals. They might answer, "I'm fine," when asked how they're doing, either because they don't want to bother the doctor or because they've come to believe their feelings aren't important in the world of medicine. But here's the reality. Telling your doctor that you've been feeling down, anxious, or disconnected is not complaining. It's giving them the full picture they need to help you heal. If you've been carrying the weight of loneliness, loss, or fear, speak it out loud. Not only does it help your doctor understand you better, but it opens the door to solutions you might not have considered: support groups, therapy, community activities, or simple lifestyle changes that can lift your mood and, in turn, improve your physical health. Studies have shown that when emotional needs are met, recovery is faster, energy levels rise, and people regain a stronger sense of purpose. Good healthcare should always treat you as a whole person. That means your mind, your feelings, your experiences, and your relationships deserve as much attention as your vital signs. Sometimes one heartfelt conversation with a doctor who truly listens can be as powerful as any prescription. And in many cases, addressing emotional health doesn't just make you feel better. It can make you physically stronger, more resilient, and more able to enjoy the life you've built. So as you think about your own health, remember this: your emotional well-being is not separate from your physical well-being. They are deeply connected, and both deserve care. The next time you sit across from your doctor, don't hesitate to share what's really on your heart. The right words, spoken at the right time, might not just change your day, they could change the course of your health. As we've uncovered these unspoken truths, one thing becomes clear: aging does not diminish your value, your dignity, or your right to be seen and heard. Yes, the body changes, but the person inside, your memories, your wisdom, your sense of humor, your ability to dream, remains just as real and important as it ever was. Too often, older adults are seen through the narrow lens of their years rather than the fullness of their lives. When that happens, healthcare can become less about helping you live well and more about simply keeping you going. But you deserve more than that. You deserve care that listens to your concerns without brushing them off as just old age. Care that trusts you to handle information and follow a plan. Care that values your goals, and care that sees your emotional well-being as essential to your health. The truth is, you have more influence over this than you might think. You can shape the way your care is given by speaking up, asking questions, and making your priorities clear. If something feels wrong in your body, don't accept the easy answer. Push for clarity. If you want to know every treatment option, say so. If you have dreams you're still chasing, Share them. And if you're feeling the weight of loneliness, loss, or fear, tell someone. A doctor can only treat the part of the story they know, and you hold the missing chapters. The deeper lesson here is simple but powerful. You are still the main character in your own life. Your health journey is not something that just happens to you. It's something you can take part in shaping. At 60, 70, 80, or beyond, you still have the right to advocate for yourself, to seek out second opinions, to demand that your care reflects who you are and what you value. And when you do this, you're not just improving your own life, you're setting an example for others around you, showing that age is not a reason to step back from living fully. So how can you apply this today? Start with one simple act. Choose to be an active partner in your health. Write down your questions before your next appointment. Bring a trusted friend or family member with you to help remember what's said. Keep a record of your symptoms and how they change over time. And perhaps most importantly, remind yourself every morning that you are worth the effort, worth the time, the attention, and the resources it takes to help you live your best life now. Now, I'd like to ask you something. If you could tell your doctor one thing about what you truly want from your life and your health, what would it be? Please share your answer in the comments. Your words might inspire someone else to speak up for themselves too. If you found this message meaningful, if it spoke to you in any way, I warmly invite you to subscribe to our channel. Leave a comment with your thoughts, and we will listen closely to what you share. Here at Beyond 60 Wisdom, we want to walk this journey with you every day so we can keep creating videos that uplift, inform, and inspire. From the bottom of my heart, thank you for spending your time with us. Your presence here is a gift, and it's what keeps us going.